Hi guys, in this review I will analyze a unique 28-70 f2 lens for Canon EOS R mount mirrorless cameras. First thing to notice is how big and heavy this lens is. If it were white I would have nicknamed it Moby Dick, but since it is not, we'll have to settle with Leviathan. It weighs 1.5 kg. Here you can see it next to some ordinary lenses like 24-105 f4 or 70-200. Size and weight are even more accentuated on EOS R camera, which, although not tiny, is on the smaller side compared to 5D or 1D series. It feels extremely front heavy and I recommend buying additional vertical grip to help holding this camera and lens combination. Outside, 28-70 is made from high quality plastic and has soft non-slippery rubber on the control rings. Zoom ring glides smoothly with gentle resistance. Focusing is by wire, so the manual focus ring has infinite travel. At the top there is assignable control dial with gentle clicks. Lens mount is made from metal and has rubber seals around it for weather sealing. Actually, entire lens is weather sealed, so using it in dusty or humid conditions shouldn't be a problem. USM focus system is fully silent, very fast and accurate. On the left side there is manual focus switch and on the right a zoom lock switch. Front element accepts filter of 95mm diameter, which are neither common nor affordable. Lens hood is supplied with the lens and can be reversed for transport. Oh, and did I mention it is big, and heavy, and big? I'll remind you once again in conclusion. Wow, this is impressive. Center is sharp at f2 and gets a bit better stopped down. Corners show a bit less contrast than the center, but at f2 this is beyond expectations. At 35 settings, same story. Sharp, sharp, sharp. If someone showed me these samples and told me it was an f2.8 zoom lens, I would be impressed, but for an f2 zoom this is beyond all expectations. I can see some people buying into the system just for this lens alone. At wide angle setting there is no focus shift. A slight shift can be found when zoomed in to 50mm setting, but not enough to worry about it. At 70mm setting, focus shift can be observed between 2.8 and 5.6. I noticed it only on close-ups, so in regular day-to-day photography at medium or long subject distances it will not be visible. Still, be careful when shooting at close focus distance. Focus breathing is clearly visible, not the best news for video enthusiasts. 28-70 is not even close to being parfocal. Luckily Canon has that superb dual pixel focus system which makes up for it, but if you want classic zoom action with manual focus you're gonna have problems. Slight lateral chromatic aberrations can be observed at wide angle and then again a bit more at 70. In both cases they are very easy to remove. Between extreme zoom settings they are basically not visible. As for longitudinal chromatic aberrations, they are visible wide open at all zoom settings. Still, by the time you close to f4 they mostly disappear. Here is what to expect in real-life shots. Aberrations are clearly visible, but depending on the scene can be completely removed. At wide angle barrel distortion is present. It gradually shifts to pincushion the more we zoom in. In real life it might be visible if you shoot images like this with clear vertical lines. I wouldn't consider this a big problem, but it is not a perfect performance. Coma exists on wide angle but is slow and quickly disappears with smaller apertures. Already at 35mm setting it is almost invisible and non-existent beyond that. This is quite impressive since we're talking about f2 zoom lens, and here is how it compares with the lenses I reviewed in the video before this one. Of course, these are not comparable lenses and there is 6 times price difference, but just to give you a clue how impressive 28-70 is. Light fall off is obvious at f2 and all zoom settings, but is mostly limited to far corners. By the time aperture is close to f4 it is not an issue anymore. Quite good performance. Flare resistance is probably the weakest point of this lens. At all zoom settings and all apertures, various artifacts will be visible ranging from ghosts of all shapes and sizes up to full halo around a strong light source with smaller apertures. Bokeh is usually nice and uniform, and thanks to constant f2 it is easy to create subject separation. Things can get a bit busy with sharp edges in the autofocus areas, but for the most part 28-70 delivers very nice and smooth bokeh. Autofocus highlights looks nice and round until aperture is beyond 5.6. At that point 9-bladed aperture becomes obvious. Also, they do not have a very clean appearance. So-called onion-shaped pattern is visible. 0.18 times magnification and only 39 cm close focus do not make this lens the best choice for macro shots. Occasional close-ups will be fine though. With 9 aperture blades you can expect 18-pointed Sunstar. It is easy to get one and usually they look wonderful, long, clear and well defined. Overall, I am properly impressed by this lens. It is not perfect though, as it exhibits some optical flaws, but all of them are surprisingly under control. Clearly some things must be sacrificed to get a constant f2 zoom, and having that in mind, this lens is quite good. Canon optimized it for resolution and contrast, as this is what most people these days look when buying for lenses, and in this regard 28-70 is beyond expectations. Other stuff like flare, geometry, chromatic aberrations or vignetting are not ideal, but still far from bad. Pretty much all of the optical downsides can be easily fixed in post or will be eliminated in camera for those who shoot JPEGs. I see this lens mostly as a professional tool. It will feel at home on weddings, events, in nightclubs or something similar, where f2 aperture allows for high shutter speeds and strong subject isolation. These are the situations where photographer will need to jump from wide-angle group shots to body or face portrait and then back to wide-angle all of the time. Zoom lens is way more versatile than primes, which require time to change or even having 2 cameras each with a different lens. I am not sure how many amateurs would benefit from 28-70. If you can afford it and want it, please indulge yourself. Optically it is great, but the size and weight do not make it much fun to use. It also attracts too much attention, so forget about traveling, casual street shooting or candid family photos. That's all for this review. Comment section is open as always, and thanks for watching.